Hello, Dr. Calderon here. I hope you're all doing well. So, modern psychoanalysis is known as the talking cure. So, how? Why? Or in general, how is talking curative in the first place? Or how is talking helpful in the first place? Some may argue or feel talking simply isn't enough, right? Just talking, how is that going to fix X or Y? Well, I'd argue there is a subtle power and magic to talking and to putting thoughts and feelings into words, and that they do create, or it does lead to, therapeutic benefits and curative effects, and I'll explain. So, two examples to explain this come to mind. One is clinical, the other is more symbolic and esoteric or philosophical. So, the more concrete, or I don't have a word for it, but just the first example, the clinical example, is throughout my own practice working with patients, I've observed that the more I can help my patients really put into words what they're going through, whatever the conflict is, or the anxiety, or the obsessional thinking, or whatever the feeling is that's troubling them, the more I'm able to help them put that into words, the more the intensity of the conflict lessens and reduces and over time dissipates. It makes me think of something a supervisor shared throughout my clinical training, and that was the more we can help our patients tell us everything about their symptoms, the more the charge of that symptom will lessen and reduce. And I've witnessed that firsthand in my own practice. And it's a beautiful thing to see how over time, through talking and reflecting and processing, leads to an alleviation of symptoms or the intensity of a symptom. The second example, the more esoteric one, I feel really highlights the sort of spiritual process that's taking place that leads to those curative outcomes, or that leads to that alleviation. And it's alchemy. So, different esoteric philosophies reference alchemy. And in alchemy, it has to do with the transmutation of one form into another form. It's usually symbolized lead being transmuted into gold. Lead symbolizes a primitive, animalistic aspect of human nature, and the gold symbolizes the precious, more divine aspect of human nature. So the idea is it's a divine potentiality within, and we can transmute a base self or lower aspects of the self into higher, more divine potential. So in this instance, talking isn't necessarily alchemy per se, but in a sense, it kind of is alchemical, because that's exactly what's happening. It's a transmutation process. So through talking, through processing and reflecting, and coming up with language to put to one's thoughts and feelings and fantasies or conflicts, by taking the thought and the feeling and giving it form in the form of word, giving it language, and then speaking it out, one is transmuting their thoughts and their feelings that are just festering within as affect or energy. And it's being released through spoken word. For me, that's the subtle power and magic. It's really taking all this intangible psychic energy, emotional energy, and putting it into, giving it a form, which is language, which is word, and then the act of talking it out. That, I feel, is what leads to that alleviation. It's what leads to that sense of relaxation of the symptom or of the conflict, because it's the feelings that are within are literally being spoken out, and the festering thoughts are being put into words, or given word and language and then spoken out. Therefore, it's no longer festering, but one is giving themselves a chance to release it through spoken word. And with that in mind, talk it out. Don't keep it in. Whether it be a loved one, close friend, or finding a professional, I think really talking things out and putting things into words will lead to less suffering.